Welcome to our deep dive. And wow, you really went all in on the source material this time. Articles, research summaries, even Discord chats.
You weren't kidding.
It's clear you like to stay on top of things in the AI world. And to be honest,
That's a good thing.
this stuff is amazing. We've got, let's see, the AI News, Not Much Happened Today, newsletter from October 26th.
Which is funny because
Yeah, not much happened, my eye. We've got Meta's new open source models, a whole debate on deepfakes, even a possible clue about who created Bitcoin.
it's a lot to unpack.
It really is. So where do we even start with all of this? What really stood out to you when we were going through everything?
I think the thing that struck me was just how ambitious it all is. Like everyone's trying to make AI faster, more efficient, especially on devices we use every day.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, especially with those quantized llama models from Meta.
right.
There's all this buzz around them, and for good reason. The AI News Reddit recap was saying they're getting like 2 to 3 times faster inference.
And using way less memory.
Huge,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. What Meta did was combine a few different techniques, actually. They used quantization-aware training, LoRa, and SpinQuant.
So it's not just about making the models smaller.
It's not just about making them smaller, no. It's about keeping the performance high, but with a much smaller footprint.
So for someone like me who's not exactly a tech whiz, what does that actually mean in like real world terms?
Think of it this way. Imagine running some really powerful AI apps on your phone,
Okay.
but your battery doesn't immediately die.
Oh.
That's the kind of efficiency we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Really complex tasks like, let's say, language translation or image recognition,
Yeah.
all happening on your phone without a hitch.
That is wild. But then we have Cerebras, and they're talking about some crazy speeds too. 2,100 tokens per second on that Llama 3.170B model.
It's mind-blowing.
16 times faster than the fastest GPU.
Yes, Cerebras is taking a different approach with their hardware, their CS2 machine.
Yeah.
It's this massive system, but the results are incredible, especially for really demanding tasks, things like generating video or drug discovery.
It makes you wonder, though, where's the line? I mean, this is all really impressive, all this power, all this speed.
Right.
But what about the ethics of it all? The AI News Discord recap, especially,
People are worried.
yeah, people had a lot of concerns about AI becoming too intrusive.
It's a valid concern. I mean, the more powerful AI gets, the more we need to think about these ethical implications.
One thing that really stuck with me from all of that was the discussion around Claude 3.5 Sonnet and how it could potentially monitor screens, even control devices.
It's unsettling.
It feels like something straight out of a dystopian sci-fi movie, you know.
It really does. And it raises a serious question about privacy and consent.
For sure.
I mean, if AI can just access our devices without our permission,
Right.
where do we draw the line? And who's responsible for making sure that this technology isn't misused? It's a big conversation we need to be having.
And it's not just about privacy either. I mean, in the Notebook LM and OpenRouter Discord recaps, people were also really worried about deepfakes and potential censorship, all driven by AI.
These are real concerns. Deepfakes could totally erode trust and fuel all sorts of misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
And while, sure, content moderation is important, we have to be so careful about censorship.
Right.
We need to make sure that AI systems aren't being used to shut down free speech or to push certain agendas.
It's a tricky situation for sure. Like, we're entering this new era where we have all this amazing potential with AI,
Yeah,
but there's some serious risks that come with it.
Absolutely.
It's a real balancing act.
it really is. Navigating all of this requires us to be open and honest about these ethical implications.
Yeah.
We also need really robust frameworks to guide how AI is developed and used.
I agree. Okay, so we've talked about speed, efficiency, and the ethical concerns, which are definitely important. But let's not forget about the fun stuff. I mean, there are some really cool things happening with AI, especially in creative fields.
Oh, absolutely.
Like podcasting, writing, even game development.
AI is becoming a really powerful tool for creators, not to replace them, of course,
Right.
but to help them do even more, push the boundaries of what's possible.
That idea from the Notebook LM Discord recap about giving specific names and roles to AI voices in podcasts,
Oh, yeah.
that blew my mind. Like,
Yeah.
it actually made the conversations more coherent, like they had distinct personalities.
It is fascinating how something that simple can tap into the AI's ability to be consistent and maintain a certain character.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about spitting out words anymore. It's about creating a narrative that feels real and engaging.
And it's not just podcasts either. People were using AI to analyze screenplays, come up with story ideas, even make interactive quiz games.
The possibilities are really exciting.
They are. Speaking of pushing boundaries, remember those Intellect T1 and Aya Expanse models?
Huge models.
10 billion parameters for Intellect T1.
And a 128K token context length for iExpanse.
It's a lot of information for an AI to process.
Yeah, these models are a big step forward in what AI can remember and understand during a conversation. It opens up a lot of possibilities for richer storytelling, more complex problem solving.
It seems like every week there's some new breakthrough in AI.
It's moving so fast.
It's changing the game for creators, that's for sure. And while, yes, it's super important to be aware of the ethical challenges,
Absolutely.
it's also important to celebrate all the creativity and innovation that's happening. It's brilliant.
I agree. What's really impressive is the pace of innovation. The field is evolving so quickly
Yeah.
that it's crucial to stay informed and engaged with the conversation, because the choices we make about AI today
Right.
are going to have huge impact on our future.
Speaking of choices, remember those discussions about censorship in the Open Router Discord recap? People were pretty concerned about potential restrictions on models like Hermes 3 Llama 3, 3.1, 405B.
It's a tough issue. On the one hand, we want to make sure AI is being used responsibly, that it's not promoting harmful content.
Yeah.
But we also need to protect freedom of expression. It's a fine line.
Exactly. And it really highlights the need for transparency and accountability in AI development.
For sure.
We need to be asking the hard questions. Who controls these models? How are they trained? What safeguards are in place to prevent bias and misuse?
I think it's also important to remember that AI itself isn't inherently good or bad.
Okay.
It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used in different ways. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it and to create the ethical frameworks that guide its development.
It's like we're all writing this story of AI together, and
Yeah.
the choices we make today will decide what that story looks like in the future. Speaking of stories, remember those discussions about AI's role in storytelling?
Yes. It's fascinating to see how people are using AI not just to create stories, but to make their own creative process better. Like using AI to look at a screenplay and find gaps in character development, or to help writers when they get stuck. It's really interesting.
It's like having an AI writing partner who can give you a new perspective, challenge your ideas, help you see your story in a whole new way.
Exactly.
And remember that buzz about NVIDIA using AI to develop an internal assistant for their sales team.
Oh, yeah, that was a great example of AI being used to improve workflows
Yeah.
and make things more efficient. It really highlighted how AI can look at huge amounts of data
Yeah.
to identify patterns, make recommendations, and even automate those everyday tasks.
And all of this is really just the tip of the iceberg. We have a whole other section coming up where we dive into fine-tuning AI models.
Right.
And that's where things get really technical.
It gets a bit more complex, but it's also super important.
Yeah.
Fine-tuning is how we take these powerful AI models and make them excel at specific tasks and in specific areas, is what makes them truly useful and effective.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of fine-tuning, let's take a moment to let all of this sink in. We've covered a lot.
Sounds good to me. Ready to jump back into the AI world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We left off talking about fine-tuning, which sounds pretty intense.
It can be, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's kind of like, imagine taking a really high-performance race car and customizing it for a specific track.
Okay.
You're taking a pre-trained AI model, something that's already learned a lot, and you're refining it to be amazing at one specific task.
So what were people in the Discord recaps saying about fine-tuning? What stood out to you when we were going through all that?
One thing that kept coming up, especially in the Unsloth AI and Eleuther recaps, was how important high-quality data is.
Okay.
It's the foundation of effective fine-tuning.
Kind of like that story about someone trying to fine-tune a model to fix subtitles, but it kept messing up the timestamps.
Yeah, exactly. The model was basically overfitting to the timestamps in the training data instead of focusing on the text itself.
Yeah.
It's a classic example of garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
Even with AI, the quality of your data is everything.
Data is king. Got it. But what about the actual techniques for fine-tuning? What were people experimenting with?
One method that's becoming really popular is direct preference optimization, or DPO.
DPO.
Yeah, we saw it mentioned in the Axolotl, Unsloth AI, and Eleuther recaps. It's especially useful for tasks where you want to make sure the AI behaves the way humans would want it to.
Okay, DPO. For those of us who aren't AI engineers, how does that actually work in practice?
Let's say you're training an AI to write product descriptions, right?
Right.
With DPO, you'd give the model a bunch of different options and then have actual humans rank them based on how effective they are.
Okay.
The AI learns from those human judgments, so over time, it gets better at generating descriptions that actually resonate with customers.
So it's like teaching the AI to have good taste. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. And there were other fine-tuning approaches that people were excited about too. Remember all that talk about quantization?
Vaguely, that's about making those AI models smaller and faster, right?
Right.
But wasn't there some kind of trade-off with performance?
There can be, yeah. The goal is to find that balance where you can shrink the model without losing too much accuracy. And the techniques are constantly getting better. For example, in the GPU mode recap, people were really into HQQ+. It's this new method for getting that accuracy back after quantization.
Man, AI is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up.
It really is.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes it so exciting. There's this constant sense of discovery and innovation.
Before we move on, we have to talk about this whole thing with the potential identity of Bitcoin's creator.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not directly related to fine-tuning, but
It's a fascinating story.
it's such a cool story, like an AI detective novel.
It is. It really highlights how AI can be used to find hidden patterns and make connections that we might miss. But we should be careful about jumping to conclusions too quickly.
Right, of course.
This is just one piece of information that needs to be checked and verified.
Right, right. Still, it's pretty amazing to think that AI could help solve a mystery that's been around for so long.
It's a good reminder that AI isn't just about creating machines that think like us. It's about using those machines to boost our own abilities, to expand our knowledge, and maybe even solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Okay, back to fine-tuning. We talked about the data, some of the techniques. What about the actual process? What are the steps involved in fine-tuning an AI model?
It usually starts with picking a pre-trained model that's a good fit for what you want to do.
Okay.
Then you have to gather and prepare your training data, making sure it's high quality, relevant, and balanced.
So you're saying no junk food for the AI, only the finest data delicacies.
Exactly. Once your data is all prepped, you pick the right fine-tuning method. That depends on the task, the model you're using, and how much customization you need.
And this is where it gets really technical, right? All the algorithms and stuff.
It can get pretty complex.
Yeah.
But there are tools and frameworks out there that make it more manageable. We saw some in those recaps. Unsloth AI, TorchTune, Axolotl.
Yeah.
They provide user-friendly interfaces and pre-built components, so you don't have to start from scratch.
So even if you're not an AI expert, you can still experiment with this stuff.
Absolutely. And that's a really good thing. AI is becoming more accessible to everyone with tools and resources that give individuals and small teams the power to really utilize it.
More power to the people. But with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly. As AI becomes more powerful and easier to use, we all need to think about using it ethically.
For sure.
We have to be aware of the risks, have those tough conversations, and work together to create a future where AI benefits everyone.
Okay, with all this talk about fine-tuning, I'm curious, what were people actually using these fine-tuned models for? Any cool applications?
Oh, definitely. Remember those discussions in the Notebook LM recap about AI-powered quiz games?
Yeah.
People were using fine-tuned language models to generate the questions, keep track of scores, even give personalized feedback to the players.
That sounds like a fun way to learn.
It does, right.
Yeah.
We also saw people talking about using AI to analyze screenplays, come up with story ideas, and even help writers create more interesting and believable characters.
It's like AI is becoming this creative partner, helping us to think outside the box and tell better stories.
Exactly. And the applications go way beyond creative stuff, too. The AI News recap mentioned companies like NVIDIA using AI for things like automating sales tasks and even discovering new drugs.
It seems like there's no limit to what AI can do, and with all this focus on speed, efficiency, and accessibility, it really feels like we're at the beginning of something huge.
I agree. And this is just the start. As AI keeps getting better, we can expect even more amazing applications that'll change how we live, work, and interact with the world. But we need to be ready for the ethical and societal challenges that come with these advances, too.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've explored so much the speed of these new AI models, the ethical questions, the details of fine-tuning, and now...
The hardware.
Yes, all these AI models need powerful hardware to run on. It's like the engine that drives everything. And it seems like there's a race to build the fastest, most efficient AI chips out there.
You're right. The advancements in hardware are just as impressive as what we're seeing in software. From specialized AI chips to massive data centers, the infrastructure that supports AI is evolving at an incredible pace.
So before we wrap up, let's take a look under the hood and explore the hardware that's fueling this AI revolution. It's easy to get caught up in all the amazing things AI can do, the models, the fine-tuning,
Right.
but none of it would be possible without the hardware.
It's true. It's like we've been talking about these brilliant chefs and their incredible recipes.
Yeah.
But now it's time to step into the kitchen and see the ovens and the tools that actually make it all happen.
Exactly. It's all about the hardware, the chips, the servers, the whole infrastructure that supports the training and deployment of these AI models.
And that hardware is evolving just as fast as the software side of things.
Remember those insane speeds Cerebras was getting with the Llama model?
Oh, yeah?
2,100 tokens per second?
It's unbelievable.
It's like they're lapping the competition when it comes to processing power.
Cerebras is doing some really innovative stuff with their CS2 system.
Mm-hmm.
It's built around this massive wafer-scale chip.
Wafer scale. That sounds huge.
It is huge.
How big are we talking?
Think of a pizza. That's about the size of these chips.
Wow, okay.
It's a completely different approach to chip design, and it allows for way faster data processing and less latency.
So Cerebras is going big, but what about everyone else? What are some of the other trends in AI hardware?
There's a big push towards specialized AI chips.
Okay.
Chips that are designed specifically for things like natural language processing or computer vision.
Right.
These chips can handle the massive amount of computation that AI requires, and they're more efficient, too.
I remember seeing some debate about this in those Discord recaps. What
Yeah.
were people saying about the different types of AI chips?
Well, GPUs have been the standard for AI for a while.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing all these new architectures pop up, things like FPGAs and ASICs.
Okay, now you're just using acronyms. Break it down for me. What are FPGAs and ASICs, and why should I care?
So FPGAs, or field programmable gate arrays,
Okay.
they're chips that you can actually reconfigure after they're made,
Oh, interesting.
which makes them super flexible.
So you can reprogram them.
Exactly. ASICs, on the other hand, stand for application-specific integrated circuits.
Okay.
They're custom designed for a specific task, which makes them incredibly fast and efficient. But they're not as flexible as FPGAs.
So it's a trade-off then. Flexibility versus performance. Who's winning this whole AI chip race?
It's not really a race with one clear winner.
Okay.
It's more like an ecosystem with different players focusing on different areas. You've got NVIDIA, they're dominating the GPU market, while companies like Google and Intel are putting a lot of resources into ASICs.
Yeah.
And then you have FPGAs, they're finding their niche in things like robotics and autonomous systems, where that adaptability is really crucial.
All of this makes me think about those concerns we saw in the Discord chats about resource constraints. Training these massive AI models takes a lot of power, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Training these large models uses a ton of energy. It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
And the industry is definitely working on it. There's a lot of research focused on making AI hardware more energy efficient.
Just how much energy are we talking about here?
Well, training a single large language model
Yeah.
can use as much electricity as a typical American household uses in several years. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
But companies like Google and Facebook are building these enormous data centers that are powered by renewable energy.
Oh, okay.
And researchers are also developing new algorithms that require less energy for training.
So there's a real push towards making AI more sustainable.
Definitely. We're realizing that AI needs to be both powerful and responsible. We can't just focus on what it can do. We also need to consider its impact on the planet.
It's like we're building the infrastructure for a whole new world, one that's powered by AI. And just like with any major technological advancement, we need to be smart about how we use resources and think about the long-term consequences.
I couldn't agree more. The future of AI isn't just about how advanced the technology gets. It's about building a future that's sustainable, fair, and ultimately benefits everyone.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. We've covered so much: the speed of these new AI models, the ethical concerns, the ins and outs of fine-tuning, and the powerful hardware that makes it all possible.
It's amazing how it all connects, all these different pieces,
Yeah.
and how AI is this complex, ever-changing system that's really shaping our world.
So what does all of this mean for you, dear listener? That's something for you to ponder. But as we wrap up, here's a final thought. We've talked about AI as a tool, an engine, a collaborator,
Right.
but maybe it's something even deeper. What if AI is a mirror,
A mirror.
reflecting back at us our own creativity, our hopes, even our anxieties?
That's a powerful way to think about it. As we explore AI, we're not just building machines that think, we're also learning more about ourselves and what it means to be human in this age of intelligent machines.
Until next time, Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world of AI.